All right, hi again, everybody. All right, so far we've talked about drug abuse, we've talked about anxiety and how to cope with that, and we've also talked about anger and how do we manage and deal with anger so that we don't lose control. We have two more videos left. One's going to be on assertiveness, and the other one's going to be on peer pressure. Now, today we're going to talk about assertiveness, and we are going to talk a little bit about peer pressure as well, but that's going to be more so covered in the last video you're going to watch for the year. Okay, so assertiveness. Hopefully you guys remember this from 6th grade with Mr. Molisani, and then, I don't think, because of COVID last year, I don't think we had the opportunity to meet during 7th grade. But so hopefully this is kind of a familiar topic, and what we're going to be talking about is more of a refresher. So assertiveness is really just kind of standing up for yourself. It's communicating your wants and needs, or your thoughts or your feelings. But you're also doing it in a way that's respectful of others. You're maintaining your control. And, this might on the surface seem pretty easy, but a lot of people have difficulty with standing up for themselves and communicating how they feel or what they want. It's a challenge a lot of us struggle with, but there's a main reason. Like, a lot of us aren't comfortable with confrontation. We're not comfortable with any form of conflict or any argument. And although being assertive doesn't necessarily mean this is going to happen, there are going to be times where you're standing up for your rights or what you want or how you're feeling, and someone's going to push back against that. And there could be some conflict that comes of that. But the benefits of being assertive far outweigh, some of the potential conflicts that you might find. Sometimes conflicts are unavoidable. They're a natural part of life. All right, so what are those benefits of being assertive? Well, think about it, right? If you're constantly standing up for your rights, if you're constantly expressing how you feel or what you want or what you need, it's more likely, if you're doing it assertively, those needs and wants are going to be met. Those feelings are going to be listened to and accepted. So what's that going to result in? Well, you're going to feel better about yourself, right? More of your needs and wants are being met. So you're going to feel more satisfied. You're going to have this increase in confidence and self-esteem. You are going to feel more confident. Again, if you are being assertive, there's a greater likelihood that those needs, those wants, and those feelings will be met. This often gets respect from others. The other two communication styles, being passive or being aggressive, people tend to avoid the people who are aggressive. It's sort of like anger. It can kind of create some scary situations. And as far as passive people, when we're acting passively, we're not standing up for ourselves. We're not expressing what our needs or wants or feelings are. So that the more assertive you are with others, the more respect you're going to gain as a result. And there's going to be this increased feeling of control over your life. Again, as these needs and wants are being addressed, you are going to feel like you have more control over these situations and over your life in general. Okay, this is the peer pressure angle of assertiveness, because when we are talking about peer pressure, when we're talking about refusing things that we don't want to do, it's important that we're assertive in those moments. Okay, pretty simple technique. Really, you can just say no. Like, if you're comfortable saying no, if you know what you want or need, and someone's bringing something to you that you don't want or you don't need in your life, you can simply say no, and that's going to be effective, right? Someone's asking to copy your homework. No, you can't copy my homework. No, you can't copy my test. That might work. But there are some other things that you can do as well along with that no. Maybe you give a reason, so specific, we're going back to that homework one. No, you can't copy my homework. If you do, we're both going to get a 0 on it, right? The teacher's going to see our answers are identical, and he or she is just going to give both of us a 0. Being understanding, if appropriate. This is largely helpful with the people you care most about, like your friends, right? You might not want to just be like, nah, you can't copy my homework, sorry. Right? You might want to elaborate on that. You might want to convey some understanding, some empathy. Remember, empathy is understanding how somebody else feels. So that might look like, hey, I'm really sorry you didn't have the time to do this. I'm sorry you're going to get a 0 on this, but no, I'm sorry, I can't let you copy my homework. Teacher's going to see that, and we're both going to get a 0, and I don't think that's fair. So that, with your friends, and even not your friends, empathy is a great skill to have. Like, people want to be around people who take the time to understand how they're feeling. But again, a simple no might be all that you need to do in these situations. Okay, so if we go to our workbooks on page 40 and 41, Okay, you're going to just pick 6 situations from your life. And for each one, you're going to state your position, your reason and justification, and if appropriate, be understanding. Try and convey some empathy. So think about 6 different situations in your life that you would say no to. Maybe it would be the copy a homework or exam example. Maybe it would be something more, I don't want to say more serious, but maybe it's someone's offering you alcohol and you don't want to do that, right? How are you going to say no in that situation? How are you going to be understanding in that situation? So take a moment, pause the video, go through that, come up with 6 situations if you can. I would say at least do 3 or 4, but if you can, try and think of 6 different situations in your life. Again, the reason I'm not giving you situations is because I don't know what you face day to day, right? And we've talked about, specifically with anger and anxiety, why it's important to identify these triggers, because the more self-awareness we have, the better we're going to be able to deal with those situations. It's the same thing with this. What situations do you find yourself in where you have to say no? Again, in an effort to create that self-awareness so that you know when these situations are coming up and how you want to approach them. So go ahead, pause the video and take 5 minutes and go ahead and do that now. Okay. Sometimes when we're using assertiveness, it's effective when we're making requests of others or when we're asserting our own rights for us to be assertive in those moments. We're going to find it's more effective to do it that way. Okay. So if we're making a request, right, there's something we need. It's important in these moments, again, to be assertive. You're asking for what you want or need. You want to be respectful of the other person, and you want to make sure that you're calm in the situation as well. The example I have here is rather benign, but it demonstrates the point, right? So first you want to state the problem or the situation to be changed, right? So if you were talking to the friend, I left my backpack at home and I don't have anything to write with. Could I borrow some paper and a pen? Okay, again, it's a benign example, but you can see you are being assertive there, right? There's no disrespect towards that other person. There's no reason for you to be emotionally charged in that moment. So, in theory, you should be calm and you're standing up for what you need or what you want in that moment. So, similarly to what you just did in your workbook, I want you to turn to page 44 now. And there are 5 situations for you to fill out, right? And I want you to think situations where you need to ask a favor or make a request of somebody. It can be something as benign as, I left my backpack at home and I need something to write with, or it can be something different from that. But again, I'm not going to give you these situations. I think it's important for you to, in the effort of creating self-awareness and what exists in your own life, I think it's important that you think about what these situations are that come up in your life where you do need to ask a favor for somebody or you do need to make a request. So what you're going to do is you're just going to state your position and you're going to present a solution like you did in the other one. I left my backpack at home and I don't have anything to write with. That's stating your position. Can I go ahead and borrow something to write with from you? That would be the presenting the solution. And it helps to visualize this stuff too. Like, don't just write it down. Like, visualize yourself in that moment. How would you assertively say that? What's that going to look like? So go ahead, pause the video here and take a couple minutes and complete page 44. Okay. Assertiveness is also a good skill in expressing your feelings to others. In the anxiety video, and I know for sure in the anger video, I talked a lot about how important it is to tell the people how you're feeling, like what the benefits are in getting that energy out by self-expression, by letting somebody know I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious. Simply talking to somebody and identifying how you're feeling actually does start to provide some relief. But how do you do this, right? Well, like anything, it's probably best to think about the situation first and think about what it is you want to say. This comes up a lot in social situations. We get mad and angry at our friends and our family members when they do or say something that hurts our feelings. But a lot of times we might not let the people know like what they said or what they did was hurtful, right? So we get angry at that person because, they did this thing. But at the same time, they might not have done it to hurt your feelings. Odds are if they care about you, they probably didn't. And they might not know the impact that this is having, right? And if you don't address it, if you don't let them know, they're not mind readers. They're not going to be able to know that. They're going to continue to do or say that thing. And that's going to create a wedge in your relationship with that person because you're going to constantly feel like they're intentionally hurting your feelings. But in reality, they just don't know that they are. right? So it's important to let other people know what they're doing and what they're saying and how it's impacting us. It's important that you don't blame them here though, right? Like, think about what you want. I felt hurt by what you said. It's not you hurt me. It's I feel hurt by what you said. That's how I'm experiencing what you said. Again, if we don't tell people this, they don't always know that to be the case. So, you know, so the statement would be, I feel hurt by what you said. I don't like when you speak to me that way. Or what does it say? When you speak that way about me, okay? Without telling the person, they might not know, so that behavior is going to continue, okay? And you're just going to feel worse and worse about the situation. But when we are expressing our feelings, again, it's important that we do so assertively, that we're calm, that we're telling what we want or what we need or how we feel or what we're thinking, and that, you know, we're respectful of the other person. There's no blaming in this, right? It's just how I feel or how I'm experiencing what it is that you're doing. Okay, again, page 45 is going to be similar to every other exercise you've done in this video. I want you to think about what these I statements would be in situations that come up in your life where you might need to tell someone how you feel. Again, I'm not giving these to you because it's about you creating awareness of self in these situations that exist. You might have one right now that's going on. Okay, you might have something happening with a friend or a family member. You know, someone's continuing to hurt their feelings and you don't know how to deal with it, or you don't know how to address it with that person. This is going to be good practice for that. How would you tell this person how you feel? And again, make sure you're using I statements and that you're not blaming the person. You're just telling them how you're experiencing what it is that they're doing. So go ahead and pause the video here and take a look at page 45 and try and come up with 5 situations in your life where this is a factor. All right, here I want to combine a couple of skills. Okay, this isn't going to be in your workbook. This is just something to think about as we end this lesson and begin to transition into peer pressure. Sometimes you need to combine some of this stuff, right? Especially with refusal skills, especially around peer pressure. You know, as situations come up where you feel some social pressure to do something that you otherwise might not want to. Okay, so here's a great example of combining refusal skills and I statements while also being assertive at the same time. So the situation is your friend keeps asking you to vape. Some of you might have already been in this situation. If you haven't, it might come up at some point, okay? So again, remember that first step is to think, what do you want to say, right? You know, you make sure you don't just blurt out whatever, like make sure you actually take some time and process what it is you want to say and what you want your message to be, right? So this person's your friend, but you don't want to vape and they continually are asking you to do so, right? So obviously that's going to be a little annoying to you. And you're going to want to address it. Otherwise, the person's going to keep asking you, right? And you're going to keep feeling that way about that person. And if they are your friend, it might create some tension in that friendship, and it might be hard to resume. Again, this person doesn't know necessarily that you're annoyed or that you're angry, right? People aren't mind readers. You have to let them know how you're experiencing what happens if you want change to occur. So this step 2, this is a great example of assertive refusal skills using an I statement. I feel like you don't really care what I want when you keep asking me to vape. Again, I feel, not blaming you, just letting you know what the thing that you're doing, how I'm experiencing it, how it's making me feel. Again, they're not going to know unless you tell them, okay? You know I don't want to, okay? So you've combined here refusal skills and I statements to effectively let your friend know, please stop doing what you're doing. I don't like it, and I don't want to vape. Okay, and the hope is if they care about you, if they're your friend, a statement like this would be enough, and they're not going to bring it up again. This is in your workbook as well. I'm not sure what page it's on. Page 42. It's just some different body language stuff to convey different communication styles. So if you're being assertive, obviously you want to have a firm tone of voice. You want to be making eye contact. You want to be a comfortable distance away from the person. You want to speak slow and clear. That's going to convey some confidence. You want to be relaxed and, you know, just general healthy communication skills. So again, that is on page 42 in your workbook to reference. Okay. If you had some trouble coming up with some situations on those different pages throughout this lesson, here are some general ones that I think come up that you could use and circle back to on those worksheets. So we talked about this one, but again, maybe you want to approach it differently. How do you say no to a friend who wants you to vape or drink? Asking someone for help on a homework assignment, speaking up when someone hurts your feelings, tell your friends to stop making fun of someone, telling a friend you don't like when they tease you, and telling a teacher you think they're being unfair. So again, if you were having issues coming up with some situations to include in your workbook, you can pull from any of these. Okay, so that's it for assertiveness. Again, I hope this was more of a review with some new information sort of sprinkled in there with the I statements and making requests or assertions. We only have one more video left for the year. It's going to be about peer pressure. We talked a little bit about it here, but we're going to get a little more focus on peer pressure specifically for our next and final video. All right, thanks everybody.